out. We have a caller on the line. Let's go to line 1 and talk to Jerry. Good evening, Jerry.
Good evening, Sheryl. I don't have a lot to add on that, but there's several things maybe that could cause that. It's the heat of the summer here. It's been pretty warm the last week or so. The fact that kids are out of school, do you suppose that has something to do with it?
Well, the police say that it does because a lot of kids are out of school. They have nothing to do, and that's when they get into trouble. But for crying out loud, can't we find them something better to do than to kill each other?
That's right. And now school is about to start next
quick.
Wednesday, I think, here in Wichita. The teachers are back today for teachers' meetings, and I believe school starts either next Wednesday or Thursday, so that should help a little bit. I was wondering, though, if the numbers are way up, then why not consider closing the bars at about midnight?
Well, and that's something that they're looking at. They're looking at changing or at least defining better the ordinances for the clubs. And it may come to that. I don't know. I personally don't think that would be such a bad idea, but I don't hang out in clubs, so I'm not likely to object to that. But that is one of the things they're looking at. They were saying that the ordinances that were written on the club, for zoning and things like that for the clubs, was actually written about 20 years ago, and the wording is somewhat vague.
Oh, I see.
So they said they need to.
Well, I live in this house. One house I've got is in Delano, and there's a bar not too far away. And if I'm outside, I could go outside and sit on the porch at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be a crowd of people staggering by from that bar, from about 1:30 to 2, and. So it isn't a good situation. Most people, if they don't want to get hurt, they ought to be out. They shouldn't be in a group of drinkers at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I'm telling you, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't
I'd
go.
wear a bulletproof vest at that point.
Well, and that's not going to protect your head if they, that scares me to death to think that we have that many people running loose with guns and they're drinking.
Yeah, they probably, well, that's another thought. They say that, I shouldn't get into this subject, but that most of the homeless guys have some sort of a weapon for self-defense. So I've been told that by people that know. Most of them carry some sort of a defensive weapon.
But they're not the ones that are at the clubs.
I know that they're changing the subject a little bit to the homeless, and I know we've got to do something about that problem, but just a side issue there that a lot of them have weapons and they're in the library and various places. Although the police have really stepped up the security
patrol
surveillance at the downtown library, so the problem is kind of going away a little bit. So.
Yeah, and I understand. I'm not sure how long. I heard somewhere that it was going to be not until the year 2012 that we're going to get a new library, and it'll be over there where the Watkins building used to be.
Right.
Have you noticed they've knocked that completely down?
Right, I stopped by there and looked at it today.
Yeah, they did that pretty quick.
It went pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
There's several things. I think I might have been one of the first to suggest that we needed a new library before I even came to Wichita, because the current library operates on the air conditioning system and some of the mechanical system of Century 2. So it seems to make sense that just turn that over. And at first, they got a lot of gasps when I suggested that, but I've always been a library fiend. I belong to several friends of the library groups around the state, a couple other states. But now it's really moving ahead, and I'm not so. Now I've kind of changed my mind a little bit with computers and availability of information on computers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about needing a larger library. I know the librarian down there, she'll be upset at that remark.
Well, you know, the other thing, though, that I think that could be accomplished by having a larger library is maybe having a larger computer area, because many people use the computers at the library because they don't own their own. And also the library offers computer classes for people who want to learn more about them. But they only have like 10 computers, something like that. So I think if we had a larger library, maybe we could get more computers, and maybe we could offer more computer classes, and more people could actually utilize those computers when they weren't in use for the classes.
That's right.
So I'm in agreement with you. I still think a larger library is not a bad idea. But one of the main drawbacks of our downtown library is the lack of parking.